we play a game?
Why, yes. I believe we shall.
Oh, I got a live one here.
Live from Little Rock, it's Shane Plays Radio. Welcome to Live Geek Talk Radio. I'm Shane, your host. Thanks so much for joining us. If you're hearing us on 99.5 Faith Talk, and you're like, what the heck is Live Geek Talk Radio doing on 99.5 Faith Talk? I'll explain a little bit more about that here in a second when we go through our housekeeping notes as we get into the show. Just wanted to welcome everybody. Thanks so much for listening. And if anybody wants to call in during the show, they always can at 501. I'll give out this number again during the show, but I'll go ahead and get out there now. 501-823-0965. That's 501-823-0965. And you can tweet me at Shane Plays. That's Shane like my name, Shane, and plays like I like to play stuff, not like Shane's Place. Shane Plays, at Shane Plays. So as we dig into the show, we got a great show today. Going to have, some notes and then a little bit of news, and then we're going to get into it. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm geeking hard on this personally, and I'll explain why later as we get to talk to our guests. But we've got Jack Herman and Jeff D. of Monkey House Games that do the Villains of Vigilantes role-playing game. And I'm so excited to be talking to these guys as we go further into the show on a personal level. And I explain that when we have them on. As you know, always remember that this show has show notes. You can go to shaneplays.com. And every time I do a show, before the show goes up, I do a post on the site that has notes and links and everything for the news items and the guests and all that, so that you can, if you're like, hey, what was he talking about? Or, what I want to know more about what he was saying. There's always notes and links there. So you can go to shaneplays.com in case you miss anything and follow up. I've got it for the news items, the guests, you name it. I want to remind you that we are blessed to have sponsors, but you can also support the show on Patreon. It's at patreon.com/shaneplays. That's also in the show notes. And you can support the show if you like for as little as $1 per show. You don't have to. It's just if you're like, hey, I like this show and I like this idea of Geek Talk Radio, live Geek Talk Radio, then you're welcome to it. And I appreciate it if you do, but feel free to listen if you don't. The show does always go out as a podcast following the live broadcast, and we stream simultaneously online. I know that people listen that way as well via the radio stream, but you can when the podcast goes out, and it'll go out within the next couple of days, either tonight, Saturday, or Sunday. I'm kind of leaning towards pushing out on Mondays, but I'm not totally committed to doing that yet. That's how I did it this last week, but it will go out in the next few days, and you can find that on my blog at shaneplays.com, and also iTunes and Stitcher and other fine podcast directories carry it as well. Now, Shane Plays, don't forget, Shane Plays is also on Krypton Radio. Krypton Radio is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi, kryptonradio.com. And right now the show plays at 1 o'clock Central, which is the normal time for the show, but it's a week delayed. So right now, if people are listening on Krypton, they're actually listening to last week's show. But Gene Turnbow, the founder and the general manager over there, is working on getting the show live. We are on a temporary station change right now. And what that means is, because due to football schedule, our normal station of 96.5 repeats the show on Sundays at 1 o'clock, but it goes live temporarily on sister station 99.5 Faith Talk on Saturdays through November 14th. So if you're hearing this on Saturday on Faith Talk, that's why. And if you're hearing it on 96.5 FM The Answer on Sunday, this is pre-recorded, so don't try to call in. Speaking of call again, I'll throw that number out. It's 501-823-0965, and you can also tweet me at Shane Plays. I do monitor my Twitter stream, and people do tweet in sometimes, so I'd love to hear from you. Now, Zach, my man running the board in there. Did you check, or is our news office in? Are those guys working today? Wow. Man, it's rainy and yucky. It's Halloween, and they're still in there working. Those guys deserve a raise. See if I can find an extra penny an hour for them. What do you think? It's out there. So maybe if another Patreon supporter comes along, I can give them another penny per hour. So anyway, here's the news this week. And like I said, we will be having, after the news, first break, we're going to be talking with Jack Herman and Jeff D of Villains and Vigilantes, Monkey House Games, which I'm super excited about that and looking forward to talking with them. But here's the news. So first thing, Zach, you know who Bob Ross is, the painter? You don't know Bob Ross? Get your mic going, man. Come on. You don't know Bob Ross?
I don't.
Okay, you know the guy with the big hair that you see like in internet memes, like painting? You don't know this? Okay, well, Bob Ross is like super famous for, he's gone now, but he had a painting show, I think, called The Joy of Painting on on PBS, not CBS. And he would just say, hey, we'll make some fluffy little clouds. And he just got kind of famous for his style. And Twitch is now pushing a creative channel. So like people who like to make stuff like paint or make things or sculpt, they're pushing that in addition to streaming video games. So they have a 200-hour Bob Ross marathon on Twitch right now.
That's cool.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anybody better than Bob Ross to lead the charge on Twitch Creative. You should go look up Bob Ross. I guarantee if you got on the computer and looked up Bob Ross and you'll know who I'm talking about. You'll be like, okay, I've seen this guy. Because he's in pop culture big time. So I want to let people know that the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide from D&D, the book, the resource book, is out now. No, actually, I don't think it releases to the general public till November 3rd, but certain game stores got it early, including my own friendly local game store. And I'm sure I would be really shocked if Game Goblins, show sponsor, didn't get as well over there in Little Rock. But I've got a review up. If you go to shaneplays.com, there is a review and a first look, kind of break down what it's all about. It's set in the Forgotten Realms. It's a source book with just information about the realms and player options and new rules. And you can find that at shaneplays.com, and also have a video version up on YouTube. So check that out. And make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, too. I put a lot of stuff out on there. Here's another news item on role-playing games, as long as we're talking about role-playing games. Paradox, the company Paradox, has bought White Wolf, including World of Darkness and Vampire the Masquerade, from CCP. Now, CCP is the company that does EVE Online. I think I'm going to get this wrong. They're like Icelandic or something like that, Norwegian. I think they're from Iceland. Maybe Greenland. I'm not sure. But they bought the rights to White Wolf, which I've read. I haven't seen the statistics to prove this, but I've read that they are, at one time, White Wolf was like the second best-selling role-playing system out there, between, I guess, Vampire the Masquerade and all their other, Werewolf the Rage, or, all the Wraith the Oblivion. They had all these different World of Darkness games. But anyway, and I'm assuming that this also means not just the computer version of the stuff, but but it would also apply to the computer stuff and the tabletop role-playing game. So I hope we start seeing some more stuff from the World of Darkness and White Wolf. Not just, I know a lot of people are excited about the potential of Paradox doing something, because Paradox is a computer game company. They put out a lot of computer games. So I know people are excited about that, but I'd like to see some more pen and paper stuff, tabletop, come out. So we'll see what happens with that. All right, Zach, do you ever play any Nintendo games? Are you a Nintendo gamer at all?
I'm not.
Not? Okay. Well, Nintendo is still a huge name in games, and they're trying to go with smartphone games, mobile games. And there was supposed to be one releasing by 2015, but it's been delayed to 2016, but it's going to be called Miitomo. And it's a smartphone mobile game, and it kind of uses that, the Mii's from the Wii, MII, the Mii's, so it's kind of going with that. But they're pushing not just let's port our existing games. They're trying to come up with new IP. So, you know what? We got some Star Wars news. We got that fine fanfare. We got to do the fanfare. All right, let's have the fanfare, man. Let's do it. Oh, yeah. Listen to that, Zach. You know you're getting pumped up. Listen to that. Oh, right there. That's it right there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Go ahead and cut it. Yeah, we got it. I want to get through the news. Man, that's the best, that music. Like when I had Steve Chenault on, we were talking about how great that music was. Anyway, J.J. Abrams has confirmed, and in all these news items, there's links in the show notes on shaneplays.com. Luke Skywalker missing from the Star Wars 7 trailers is no accident. It's on purpose. He's not in the trailers that we know of, and he's also not on the movie poster. Now, my personal theory, and this isn't a spoiler because I don't know, I think they're trying to hint around that he's a bad guy, but that's a red herring, and that's not going to end up being the case. That's what I feel. You got any thoughts on that there? No, you don't. Okay. And the other thing, Star Wars 7, The Force Unleashed release day countdown. We're at 47 days, man. That's on the Friday release. Now, I've got tickets for Thursday, so I guess it's actually 46 days for us that bought tickets for Thursday. So I'm excited. Ooh, I'm excited. Okay. Last couple of news items real quick. We'll cut to a break, and we're going to get Jack Herman and Jeff D of Villains and Vigilantes on. So excited. Yeah, I'll explain why when I bring them on. I'm so geeking on this. All right. Chris Pine, Captain Kirk himself from the new Star Trek movies, confirms that he's going to be in the Wonder Woman movie. And they haven't said what role he's going to be in yet, but everyone's guessing Steve Trevor, who is like, kind of an ongoing character in the Wonder Woman universe. And then finally, this is super cool. I don't know if this is going to, I'm not sure how well the Kickstarter is doing. It looks like it just started. I hope they make it. Dragon's Lair. Do you ever play that game, Dragon's Lair? It's like Don Bluth. Don Bluth, like All Dogs Go to Heaven and all those movies. I think he did Secret of Nim, all that really amazing animation. Well, they animated a movie and then they made a game out of it. Like you would go to the arcade and play it, and there was a little laser disc in there, and you can get it off Steam now. There's all these versions. But it was an amazing game, one of my favorite games, and I could just watch the animation. They're doing a Kickstarter to raise enough money to do a teaser video that they can then take to big movie studios and make a full Dragon's Lair movie. So that Kickstarter link is on the site right now. So do we have, before we go to break, I'm going to let Jack and Jeff introduce themselves. Hey, are you guys on the line?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, great. Well, listen, we're about to cut to a break. Thanks for patiently holding. I just wanted to introduce you guys real quick. This is Jack Herman and Jeff D, who do many things, but what we're going to be talking about today is not only the amazing, cool game that is Villains and Vigilantes, but a scary story they're dealing with. That's our Halloween story for today. Thing they're dealing with, maybe we can get some help with for them. But guys, we're going to, after the break, we're going to bring you on. I'm super excited to have you here. Thanks so much for being on the show, and thanks for patiently waiting while I get through my geeky news. But we're about to cut to a break, and when we get back, we're going to dive right in to all the goodness that is Villains and Vigilantes and Monkey House games. So,
thanks, Ray.
Yeah, glad to have you. I'll let you guys, kind of introduce yourselves further. I just wanted to say hi to you because I know you were patiently waiting. What we're going to do here real quick, Zach, we have a new sponsor for the show, Castles and Crusades from Troll Lord Games. Let's play that new ad, and then after that, break it back to me because I'll mention something else, and then we'll go to the actual break. So let's play that ad real quick.
The die is cast.
Plunge into worlds of fantastic adventure where dragons lie and the undead stalk the shades of your mind's imagines. Where creatures of legend plunder wealth through the horror of their passage. Monsters grim and foul hold the ecstasy of gold and the renown of glory. All this and more awaits you and your friends in the unlimited, fantastic world of the Castles and Crusades role-playing game from Troll Lord Games. Visit your friendly local game store or trolllord.com to get your copy today. A rules-light, adaptable game that has stood the test of time. 12 years in constant publication with no new additions, Castles and Crusades is the original, easy-to-play attribute check system. Join us and unleash your imagination. Visit your friendly local game store or trolllord.com to get your copy of Castles and Crusades today.
Okay, so that's a new sponsor now. Starting next week, they'll be in the regular ad rotation, but I just wanted to kind of highlight them. And I also wanted to mention we have another sponsor for the show, Game Goblins, which is a game store here in Little Rock. And if you mention Shane Plays and you're a first-time customer, you can get $10 off at Game Goblins, your order of $50 or more, and they do carry Castles and Crusades. So there's a nice little. It's like peanut butter and chocolate. They just work together, Zach. I could tell Zach loves that. The way he's looking at me. All right, Zach, take us to a break, and when we get back, we're going to have Monkey House games. We'll have Jeff D and Jack Herman, Villains and Vigilantes.
Megawars.net. The classic online space strategy game has returned, bigger and better than ever before. Scout the universe and claim your empire. Construct, customize, and launch dozens of different starships. Battle thousands of opponents online in a team-based competition leading to the ultimate battle of the galaxies. Grab your slot today in one of the most hotly anticipated indie games of 2015. Visit megawars.net and get options only available during our pre-sale event running now. Megawars.net.
Privately owned and licensed by the Arkansas State Police, Rock City Alarm Company has been in business since 1996, specializing in sales, installation, servicing, and monitoring of burglar alarms and fire alarms for the state of Arkansas. Rock City Alarm provides service for residential and commercial alarms, and now provides cellular monitoring with remote arm and disarm. Just call John Hardiman at 501-541-8747. That's John Hardiman at 501-541-8747. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
All right, we're back. Welcome back to Shane Plays Live Geek Talk Radio. If you're hearing this on 99.5 Faith Talk, like I said, don't be confused. We are on a temporary station change during the football schedule. We'll be back on our normal channel of 96.5 starting, I think, not November 14th, the Saturday following that. And the show will repeat on 96.5 FM The Answer on Sunday. So if you're listening to this on Sunday, it's pre-recorded. So, all right. I had a lot of cool guests on this show, Zach. I'm telling you. And I've enjoyed every one of them. On a personal geek level, I'm geeking hard, and I'm going to explain why. But first, I want to introduce these guys. So we've got Jeff D. and Jack Herman of Monkey House Games that do the Villains and Vigilantes role-playing game. So why don't you guys, first of all, welcome again to the show. Why don't you introduce yourselves real quick? Are we there? Do we still have?
Thanks for having me, Shane.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is Jack Herman.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
No, you go first.
Oh, okay. Jeff D. and I, basically what we are is we are game designers. We have created one of the first superhero role-playing games called Villains and Vigilantes. We came up with this when we were in high school, and since then we've kind of gone on to become involved in the gaming industry in various ways. And starting about 5 years ago, we brought our game back through our own company that we created, Monkey House Games, and we've got it on sale online through outlets like RPG Now and Lulu.
Okay. Jeff, why don't you say hi real quick?
Hi, everybody. Jeff D. here. What Jack just said.
Yeah, ditto.
Villains and Vigilantes originally came out, like Jack mentioned, when we were in high school, way back in 1979. It's not technically the very first superhero role-playing game. That honor goes to Superhero 2044. But people like to claim that we are the first complete superhero RPG because there were some things left out of Superhero 2044, I guess. So we'll take what honors we can get.
Okay. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I think you were the first that I got my greedy little hands on, and then I know they sort of vaguely at this, a little bit later it seems like Champions came around, but I was a V&V guy all the way through. So what I want to do, guys, is I want to we'll have a break later in the show. Before that break, I want to spend time talking about what's cool about V&V, what you're doing with it, maybe some future plans you have for it, that sort of thing, maybe a little bit of the history. And then you guys have a situation you're dealing with. When we come back from the break, I want to talk about that and give you a chance to talk about that and let people know how they can help and that sort of thing. So, and I want to help you personally because I'm 43. Okay. So when V&V came out, man, I was like 11, 12. It was a huge part of my childhood. So I want to help you guys out. So I'm so glad that it worked out that we could come on and talk about this stuff and then also, give you a chance to highlight the situation you're dealing with, and maybe we can get you some help. Because this will go out live, it'll also go as a podcast. And so a lot of people do listen to it in different ways. But I want to tell you guys, I love RPGs. D&D, you name it. I've played, I think the very first RPG I ever played in my life was Traveler, the very first role-playing game I ever owned, and I begged for it for Christmas. Begged. Like that jerky little way kids have of like, if I don't get it for Christmas, we'll all be sorry kind of guy. I begged for Villains and Vigilantes, and I got it. And it was the very first role-playing game that I ever owned. And I spent hours reading the rules and, playing it, talking about it, going through and coloring the all the Jeff's illustrations and everything. So it's a huge personal part of like, not only, my fun as a child, but my role-playing history. So just wanted you guys to know that it's huge for me to be talking to you. And, also, and I'm excited to be talking to you both. I love the game, but also Jeff, on a side note, I'm very excited to be talking to you because I've always loved your artwork.
Thank you.
I love it. In fact, I've been looking through it again, recently, and I've always, you're probably one of the first artists like in role playing or whatever that I started recognizing. Oh, that's the same guy. I started recognizing your style and that sort of thing across like Dungeons and Dragons and other products. So, I still look at it, and like I was looking through your artwork recently, getting ready for the show, and I'm like, that's what it's supposed to look like. All this new artwork, it's not supposed to look like that role-playing games. This is what it's supposed to look like. So, but anyway, that's why I'm very, very happy to be talking with you guys. And I have an admission. I have to confess something to you both. I may never get this chance again. You know how in Villains and Vigilantes you were supposed to do your own statistics and be your own self?
Sure.
I didn't do that. I was a little chubby 11, 12-year-old. I did that once. And I called him Power Man, and the game master looked at me and cocked an eyebrow and said, "Power Man, really?" And I was like, "I'm rolling out my own characters from now on." So anyway, So thanks for all the great memories, guys. And if you could just tell us about Villains and Vigilantes, like maybe what's unique about it compared to other systems, or just anything you want to tell us about it.
Jack, you wanna let me take this part, and you can do the scary story part?
Sure.
Is that okay? Okay.
Sure.
Well,
go ahead.
Shane, like you mentioned, one of the things that is unique about Villains Vigilantes is there's this option where you can play yourself, and the idea was we're high school kids, and we're making a superhero role-playing game, and we thought, well, this is set in modern day. If we didn't put this option in, the question is still going to come up, where are you? If it's the real world plus superheroes, where are you physically while the superheroes are out there having all their adventures? So we gave people the option to make characters that were based on themselves. And some people, it wasn't their cup of tea. That's fine. There was also random generation if you wanted to go with that. But it's an old school style superhero RPG, random generation. The way we made the random selection of powers work is that you always randomly generated a couple of more powers than you were actually going to keep. So there was this editing phase where you threw out the stuff that didn't fit your concept, and what you had left, that's what you could do. There was a D20 roll to hit, but it really wasn't. It's not a thing you could call a D20 based game because the combat system was really its own thing apart from that one detail. And we had our own universe. We didn't actually make a big deal of it at the time, but at least all the stuff that Jack and I wrote for it was set in the same specific setting, and there was an implication that the other adventures were in that same world, but it was never really approached seriously. There weren't source books about the Villains of Vigilantes universe or anything. Eventually, we did do a short-lived comic book miniseries from Eclipse Comics.
I had it. I had all 4 issues.
What was that, 84, 87, somewhere in there?
Somewhere around
there. That was a lot of fun.
I think like later 80s, 87, I think.
Yeah,
Was it?
getting ready for this show, I was like, why don't I was kicking myself. I'm like, why don't I still have that? I don't have any of my comic books from back then anymore, like an idiot. But I loved that miniseries. You based it basically on the Crisis at Crusader Citadel module, right? If I remember right. And there was, in fact, as long as this is going to come up, this is one of the questions I was going to ask you, so this is as good a time as any. I really enjoyed, now y'all both worked on that together, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Jack wrote it and I penciled it.
Why didn't y'all get into more comic? Because it was great. And like when you go and read, like you'll have little snippets in your modules, like little one page of, like it's like a page taken from a comic book. And the flow and the characters and the dialogue really works. There was kind of a realism to it, if you will, the way the characters interacted with each other that is very common today, but that wasn't common back then. And, I remember really enjoying the limited series. And I remember a scene where was it Marionette? They were trying to get Marionette out from like underneath something. They were like doing a little burst of flame to try to get her to come out or something. And that scene just really stuck with me. So just out of curiosity, did you guys never want to get off into just publishing comic books?
We did.
Well,
Jack, in fact, did go on and write a bunch of comics, Jack.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's Jeff and I, of course, always really wanted to keep the book going, but it was one of those things where it never really worked out with us at Eclipse. We had a hard time kind of figuring out who else would have been the inker and colorist and things, and it was something we kind of always intended to get to, but then just because of the nature of things in the comic industry, sometimes those opportunities don't come together, and things kind of changed a little bit for the independent market as the 80s kind of ended. We just never really got a chance to jump back into it. It's too bad. I think obviously we had thousands of stories we could have kept telling, but I'm glad we got that one in.
Well, I enjoyed it. I remember
we did. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, that was me actually. I was saying I remember but I remember this was back before everything got spoiled 3 months ahead of time by the internet, and I just remember cruising into my comic book store and I'm like, what? Villains of Vigilante, what? And and I got all four issues and I loved it. So and like I said, there was a style or kind of a realism to the way that the characters interacted and talked with each other and things unfolded that, like I said, I personally think you guys were ahead of your time at that point. More comic books are like that now, but back then, no, not really. So there was and I have to ask, there's I can't remember what module this came out of. It may have come out of the main rule book, but there was like a little one page, like taken out of a comic book where there's like this Death Skull guy coming and the heroes rig up this like ray gun and hit him. And they're like, this will take out Denver. And then he's like, ha, ha, ha. And it did. What happened next? Do you even know what happened next? Because all these years, I'm like, what happened next?
That was actually a moment from Jack's Villains and Vigilantes campaign, the Protectors campaign, we call it. I played in that back in the day, and when I was doing illustrations, I remembered that scene. There's a reference to Stormbringer in there. That was Jack's character, who was like an NPC with our group while he was running the game. And I think Eric Betcher's character, Magnetor, was there, and I'd have to go look at it to remember. But, we were fighting the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and that was death. We beat them, obviously, but I can't tell you precisely what happened next.
Okay. Well,
it was a long time ago.
You've left it. My inner 12-year-old has been hanging all these years. Like, what happened next?
We've gotten a lot of that over the years. Like, who's that character on page 17, right?
Right.
And I mentioned we never really took the setting very seriously. We thought of Villains and Vigilantes mainly as, kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons of superhero games. Dungeons and Dragons didn't, in those days, have a particular setting.
Right.
It was a fantasy role-playing game, and ours was a superhero role-playing game, and we expected people to pretty much make up their own stuff. We've learned our lesson, I think, since then, and in 2010, when we discovered that the publishing rights had reverted to us and we released a new edition of V&V 2.1, one of the things that we did is all of the illustrations in the rule book are accompanied now by captions which tell you who these people are and a little bit about what's going on.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well,
We're getting way more serious about that.
All right. Well, and I think it's totally cool because, like, D&D, when I played D&D, and like I said, actually, as big as D&D is, my D&D experience really began after V&V, but I've always liked the sort of generic, it can be whatever setting you want. But it's also cool to have, like, if you want to play in this established world, you can. So V&V, I always felt that there was I was getting a little glimpses of an established world, which is obviously, I guess, because it came from, existing campaigns. So,
yeah.
Great game. I'll tell you one thing and this is just a personal anecdote. I don't think there was anything wrong with the game design, just the way my younger brain worked. I was like, what? Because everything, in V&V, I think 1 inch equaled 5 feet. Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But in my brain, I was thinking, well, how come he can only move 3 inches, or whatever? But then I finally figured out, it's the grid and all that stuff. So yeah, that messed with me for a little while. So, so I guess I'm getting the sense, and this kind of seems like with the research I've been doing recently again, is that, now Jack, are you more of the narrative guy, and Jeff is more kind of helping with the rules and the illustrations, or is there even that kind of demarcation there? Like, what is your work process together?
Well, Jeff is probably the best game designer I've ever met or had ever had the chance to work with. So he is the main rules guy, and I kind of go in and will monkey with some of the stuff he does and try to break it and suggest options here. And as far as the comic book and what we'll eventually be seeing here is the D&D universe, I'm more the universe guy, and I have a lot of crazy ideas, and every once in a while he kind of has to say, whoa, hold back, and he definitely has my back with that. So I think we've got a good working relationship. We've been doing this kind of back and forth for one thing or another since, high school. So we've got a good rapport. It's lasted a long time.
Okay. Well, so Jeff, did you want to add anything to that, or?
Oh no, that's pretty much it. It wasn't so clear of a distinction back in the days of the first edition of V&V. I mean, literally, we had the list of superpowers we wanted to include, and we divvied it up and said, okay, you do this one, I'll do that one, you do this one, right? And we were both pretty much creating and designing and everything at the same time. And the only thing I did different was the art. But Jack has evolved into an excellent writer, and as I mentioned, he's done a bunch of comic book writing independently of V&V, and I've gotten a little bit more focused on the mechanics part, and he's kind of developed into that over time.
Okay, yeah, and I see now there's links. If people go to shaneplays.com, I've got links to y'all's Facebook page, to Monkey House Games. I've got to your homepage, Jeff. I've got Wikipedia links. I got all this stuff if people want to go check this out, including the GoFundMe campaign, which we'll talk about after the break. But you've actually got some computer game design credits under your belt too, in the Ultima world and otherwise. So I didn't even know that till I started researching deeper. Just this past week. So. As much as y'all love, tabletop role-playing games, that's not the only thing you're doing in life, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, correct. So if I went, and I'm going to, if I went and got, because the version of Villains and Vigilantes I can get right now from you guys is V&V 2.1, right?
Yes.
So how similar is that to the V&V that I remember and love so well?
It's essentially a re-release of revised V&V. That would be the 1982 edition.
And that's the one I had.
With some extra material that we pulled from articles both published and unpublished, and cleaned up a bit. I think Jack wrote a new section talking about the major government and the villain organizations, and that kind of thing. A new example of play with new characters, and then all of the artwork is completely redone. and with the captions that I mentioned. So it's like a facelifted and slightly cybernetically enhanced
but
edition.
It's not like
is.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It's not a new set of rules.
Okay.
But we are working on a third edition, except that there's an obstacle.
Yeah, which we will get to. So, but it's not like if I, and I'm not dissing 5th edition D&D. There's some good stuff to it, but it's not as different. Like if I play 5th edition D&D, it's pretty radically different from 1st edition AD&D. So it's nothing that different if I picked up 2.1 Villains and Vigilantes.
Correct.
Okay,
If you
cool.
still have your own character, you'll be able to use it just fine.
Oh, that is so sweet. Well, I don't have the character sheets, but I definitely remember them well. And I have to ask, you were talking about adventures or examples of play.
Yeah.
You know when Vibe got into it with Mastodon? Was it Mastodon?
It was
Mammoth? It was Mammoth.
Mastodon, Mammoth with Heater Jenkins as his little sidekick. And who's the hero?
I think it was Vibe. Or not Vibe, but he had kind of
no.
vibratory.
Nomad?
He had vibratory powers. I remember that in sunglasses.
He was the dimension traveling guy.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah.
Did he? Just Jack, you guys knowing the rules, did he get pounded? I always kind of felt like he was about to get pounded.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to have it we wanted to kind of show just an example of where things can go wrong. Not just you walk in and you have an easy victory.
Yeah.
Just all the bad things that can happen potentially.
I read that scenario so many times, and I'm like, I know he's the good guy, but I think it's about to go south on him. So, all right, so guys, there's so many more geeky questions I could ask personally, but as I like to say, time is a predator that stalks us all our lives. I stole that from one of my favorite Star Trek movies. So we got to get to a break. When we get back, we'll have roughly 10 minutes to talk about your scary Halloween story, and then unfortunately we'll have to wrap up the show. So let me take us to a break, and when we get back, we will definitely go into ways that people can help you and know what you're currently going through on the business side of things. So Game Goblins. Some goblins are your friends. Game Goblins is Central Arkansas's premier retailer of Magic the Gathering, Warhammer 40K, board games, card games, RPGs, miniatures, and hobby accessories. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. That's 501-224-GAME or gamegoblins.com. Conveniently located 1121 South Bowman, right on the corner of Bowman and Canis in West Little Rock, and staffed by friendly employees. Game Goblins has expanded their store size, and there's plenty of room for exciting inventory and tables for play space. For all your gaming needs, I heartily recommend Game Goblins. Make sure to check out their customer loyalty program that rewards you based on your actual purchases. First-time customers, mention Shane Plays and receive $10 off your purchase of $50 or more. Call Game Goblins at 501-224-GAME or visit them online at gamegoblins.com. Tell them Shane Plays sent you. And remember, you can get Castles and Crusades at Game Goblins. Go ahead and take us to a break, Zach. We'll get back. We'll have more with Jack Herman and Jeff D. of Villains and Vigilantes.
Comic book lovers, Michael Tierney's local comic book stores meet all of your comic book needs with friendly service. Visit the comic book store on Treasure Hill Road in Little Rock or Collector's Edition on JFK Boulevard in North Little Rock. And don't forget to click on over to the wildstars.com website. I personally have been a customer of Michael's since the mid-'80s, and I trust him for my reserve list still today. Michael knows comics. In addition to being in business for 34 years, he has written multiple columns for comic magazines, is an Overstreet price guide advisor, and publishes his own comic book series, The Wild Stars. Trust me, these stores are run by a comic book lover for comic book lovers. Remember, for all of your comic book needs with friendly service and to get your copies of The Wild Stars, make sure to visit the comic book store on Treasure Hill Road in Little Rock or Collector's Edition on JFK Boulevard in North Little Rock, and visit thewildstars.com to learn more.
Chapman Service is offering for a limited time up to $1,000 trade-in on your old heating system, or 0% financing for up to 72 months on a new Train comfort system. Call for your free personal estimate. Do it today. Chapman Service. All you want in a heating air conditioning company and nothing you don't.
Did you know that your business can provide its employees with the same benefits packages as even the largest Fortune 500 companies, often at no direct cost to you, the business owner, and while saving money at the same time? If you've always thought that you would like to offer those big company benefits to your employees but thought that there was no way, let our team at the Make 'em Teague Agency come by and show you how it can be possible and how simple it is to put into place. We offer major medical and group and individual plans, on or off exchange, dental and vision, life products, cancer, accident, and more. These benefits create that ever so priceless commodity known as loyalty. And yes, we are ACA certified. We even offer these same benefits on the individual basis if you're just a one-person entrepreneur or making things happen on your own. Give us a call today at 501-838-6827 to schedule your no-obligation on-site consultation. The Make 'em Teague Agency is serving all of Arkansas and surrounding states. 501-838-6827. Give us 1% of your trust, and we'll earn the other 99. Shane Plays Radio is blessed to have sponsors, and we appreciate them very much. However, did you know that you can also support the show as an individual for as little as $1 an episode? Simply go to patreon.com/Shane Plays.
Hey, we are back on Shane Plays Geek Talk Radio. If you're hearing us on 99.5 Faith Talk, like it says, temporary station change, well, that'll go through November 14th. And if you're hearing us on Sunday on 96.5 FM, The Answer, then that we are pre-recorded, which is not usually the case. So anyway, we're running out of time. I want to get right into it with our guest, Jeff D. and Jack Herman of Monkey House Games and Villains and Vigilantes. Guys, we got just under 10 minutes. And what I want to do is I want to turn it completely over to you at this point, and I'll ask minimal questions or make minimal comments. I want you to share with us the situation that's going on with you legally and how people can help. And then roughly about 9 minutes, I'll have to wrap up the show.
Okay. Let me just kind of go over then the situation we're in with our game right now. Our original contract with our old publisher, Fantasy Games Unlimited, who published the game in the 70s and 80s, basically that agreement said that if that company ever ceased to exist, we'd get the rights to our game back. What happened is that the company we had signed a contract with did cease to exist in 1992 when that company was dissolved. Our publisher basically moved to another state. He took all his stuff with him, and he kept doing business under the name of our company. So we weren't really aware of the fact that we could have gotten the rights to our game back. We didn't find out until much, much later, until 2010. So at that time, we published our game. We said, we're taking our game back. And he sued us. We also kind of sued him to stop selling old copies of our game. What happened was our lawsuit kind of got moved from one state to another, as these things kind of do in legal fights. Because the lawsuit was in a different state, we were late filing for an aspect of the suit that we lost on, so we basically had a default judgment put against us for defamation, so basically saying that his company no longer existed. And so there were damages brought against us that we are currently responsible for. When it comes to the actual rights of the game, we actually have done very well as far as the lawsuit goes. We asserted that the contract we were under is no longer valid. It's been determined that we have the right to publish our game, and our old publisher does not. However, he's still fighting us for the trademark on the game, and even though he has no rights to publish, if he wins the trademark, then we're kind of out of business. We're being able to do what we want to with our game again. So that's kind of the quick version. Did I leave anything out, Jeff, that I need to touch on?
No, that covers it. There's those three things, right? And we lost by default on this goofy defamation charge. Never got our day in court, just basically because we didn't have any legal representation in Arizona where that bit of the case was dealt with. So, but we did win on our fundamental claim, which is that old contract is no longer valid. The corporation we had the contract with doesn't exist. It was clear in the contract that at that point the rights reverted to us. That went all the way to an appeals court, which actually strengthened the ruling from the court originally and said, yes, this man does not have the right to continue publishing our game. But there's the trademark question. He's trying to claim that because he has been publishing this thing without the right to do so for decades. Therefore, that gives him the right to claim that he owns the name of it. It would kind of be like if your favorite fantasy author who tried to move to a different publisher, and the publisher claimed, well, that's fine. Somebody else can publish your fantasy novel series, but they can't call it by the name of that book had originally because we own that. We just think that's fundamentally unjust, unfair, and unreasonable, and we're fighting him in court. And we're back in Arizona, which is why we have launched a GoFundMe project so that we'll have funds to actually pay a lawyer to represent us now, and we won't have any more of these goofy defaults that we lose just because we're not lawyers and we don't know how to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's almost like you lost for not showing up, but it's like you were.
Yep.
It's almost like, and I'm not saying it's exactly like this, but it's like when they were gonna from Hitchhiker's Guide, when they're gonna wipe out the guy's house, and he's like, "What?" And they were like, "Hey, it's been on display in the basement of the courthouse for all this time, and then the Vogons did the same thing and destroyed Earth. The point I'm making is that something can be legally accurate, but common sense wise stupid. So it sounds like that y'all, kind of ran into something like that. And it's a sad reminder that things we love so much have a business side, and that, sometimes disputes like that can happen. So what if, like, as it stands right now, if nothing changes, like if you couldn't represent or didn't win or whatever, you could continue publishing a superhero RPG game system, but you could not call it Villains and Vigilantes? Is that basically the case? Okay.
Correct.
Well, it's a little bit more than just losing the rights to the name, because since we're being sued for damages for using the name of our own game, if we lose the trademark part of this, then essentially he's going to we're going to be liable for having violated trademark for using the name of our own game. And that probably is going to put to a halt anything we're doing in the game industry right now. So
I don't want to complicate this with numbers, but he won some amount of money from us on this defamation charge. We expect to be able to win significantly more money from him from our win on the copyright publishing rights issue, right? But we can't do that unless we're at the stage in the case where we go back to Arizona to find out how much he owes us from publishing our game without our permission for well over 20 years.
And you need a lawyer to help with that.
Yeah, and we think the damages to us will greatly outweigh, at the very minimum they will negate, but probably greatly outweigh the damages he won from us on the goofy defamation charge. So if we proceed and we have legal representation and everything goes the way it should, we're in the position of having our game back. If we don't represent ourselves, we not only don't offset the damages he's already won from us, we then have to pay him those damages, which probably means the end of our company entirely.
Oh, man. Okay, so like I said, radio goes so fast, believe it or not. We've just got a couple of minutes left here.
Yeah.
People can go to GoFundMe and search for Villains and Vigilantes. The best way to keep updated on this, in my opinion, is on Facebook. Follow the Villains and Vigilantes Facebook page, and you guys are pushing updates out there quite often.
And let me just say, Shane, on GoFundMe, I'm not sure a search for Villains and Vigilantes will find them what they need. They need to search for our company name, Monkey House Games.
Okay, so here's the best thing to do, in all honesty, in my opinion. Go to Facebook and search for Villains and Vigilantes and follow the Facebook page, because you guys and the endorsements you're getting and support from within the comic book and game industry blows my mind. I mean, you go ahead and name drop if you want real quick. Y'all have thrown some pretty big names out there that have shown you support. Like every day I'm like, really, that person? So, I mean, there's a lot of people behind you on this.
We had everyone from Norm Breyfogle, who is probably the definitive Batman artist of the 1990s, to so many to name. Chuck Dixon,
Yep.
Roger McKenzie. I'm going to leave people out. I'm going to feel bad. Actual computer game design bigwigs like Warren Spector. Real life superheroes like everyone from the Diffuser, from Who Wants to Be a Superhero, to Danger Woman, to Master Legend, and a whole bunch of people.
Okay, yeah. The point, I mean, y'all thrown some big names out there that are behind you, and I certainly hope, because you're in a situation when you get sued. Sometimes you can be minding your own business, you can get sued and be, pretty much in the right. But if you don't get a good lawyer, you get taken to the cleaners. So and so I definitely, I'm not a lawyer. I can't sit down and look at all this stuff and say legally how this all should hash out. But I want you to have a fair day in court. And no matter what happens, I want to thank you both personally. My inner 12-year-old thanks you, and it still thanks you today for all the joy that Villains and Vigilantes brought me. And I'm getting, the past few years digging back into RPGs again, and I am going to get V&V and play it with some friends. So, guys, I got to wrap the show. Thanks so much for being on. Go to shaneplays.com and look for the show notes. There's a link right to the GoFundMe there, people, and you can help out Jeff and Jack. Check out Villains and Vigilantes. If the RPG explosion in the 80s that led to where we are today, V&V contributed to that. So, these guys are, as far as I'm concerned, they're heavy hitters like Gary Gygax and all those guys. They're in there. Yeah, back in the day, in the dawn of it all. So let me, guys, and once we go on hold, I can't get back on with you to say goodbye. So I want to wish you both goodbye and hope for the best with all of this. So
bye everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween.
All right, guys, I'll send you all the link to the I'll send you the link to the podcast when it's ready. Thank you. Listen, tweet of the week from Will Wheaton. Huffington Post, we'd like to publish a story you wrote. Will, cool. What do you pay? Huffington Post. Oh, we can't afford to pay, but you'll get exposure. Will Wheaton. How about no? Next week, Randy Duncan and the Power of Comics. Don't forget about the temporary station change. We'll be on 99.5 for the next couple of weeks. And we are on Krypton Radio. We'll play a week delayed on Krypton Radio, kryptonradio.com. Thanks so much for listening to Shane Plays, a journey into the things we love.